Hello again. Thanks for spending time with me again. I had a conversation with an individual who I know on a personal level, not necessarily on a financial level at all, and who was just talking to me. And I've known him for a decade and I've never heard them ask me a financial question. And she came to me and she said, everybody's so worried about this inflation. And yet, I understand from what people I have talked to have told me that as soon as the Fed raises rates, it's going to crash, everything. And we're going to go into this recession because of it. At least stocks and bonds. It's a great question. It's on everybody's mind at this point. And I don't have any answers for her or anyone else. I just have thoughts that come to me, and through years of experience, what's worked in the past and what could work for us in the future. And so, like I said to her, I'm not a financial advisor, but here's kind of what my thoughts are. And this video is pretty much an answer to you out there who asked the question, and she knows who she is. So this is a possibility, okay? And I'm just going to say this is a possibility. Let's say they took a jump of half a point. And that really, because they are concerned, 7.5% inflation rate is high, okay? What that's doing is making the dollar look weak. It's got a hole. It's leaking 7.5% of its value monthly. And they don't want that. They want the world to believe in the dollar and use the dollar and everybody prosper. So they're going to create scarcity of the dollar. In other words, they're going to buy back their purchases, and they're going to not print any more money, and they're going to raise the interest rate, which keeps people tightening their belts, which could lead to a deflationary recession. So in a deflationary recession, what are the sort of things that you should hold on to? Again, this is a possibility, this is a maybe, this isn't my guess, this is something that, hey, I watched that video a while back with Allan and he told me, hey, this is happening, this is happening. Maybe that'll happen for you. But, it's sort of like Twain said, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And how things will be different this time, how it won't be repeating, and how it will be more like rhyming is kind of more about what my philosophy is about a deflationary recession. We have different instruments. We have different communication levels. We are more global than we've ever been. So therefore, commerce is done not just in your neighborhood, it's done pretty much globally. So no matter what one country does, it does affect the whole world, but it's a slower effect. So whatever the Fed does is really going to hit us months after they do it. But the media blitz and the perception of it is what gets everybody tightening and scrambling. So the traditional way in the past was always have a lot of cash. In a deflationary recession, you want to be cash liquid. Okay? That's been the standard go-to for deflationary times. Why? Because they're creating a scarcity in US dollars, and that allows you to control or buy things that are deflating in price with cash on pennies of the dollar that a year ago or 6 months ago. I think we're starting to see a little bit of that in the real estate market. I think cars have peaked out. This is crazy that you can buy a car that's 3 or 4 years old and pay more than it was new. That's a little bit crazy. That's clearly, inflationary. But I think it's slowing down and we could be heading to some deflation. I'm not calling for a crash or anything, but I do believe if they make those changes at the Fed, it will affect stock prices, bonds, cryptos, and other things. So I want to talk about what the instruments have changed and why I believe those changes are going to affect this time different in a rhyme and not necessarily a complete photocopy of the past. We brought up cryptos, the crypto channel. I think what you're going to want, I know what you're going to want, is anything that generates cash. You're going to want something that brings you a monthly income and is somewhat recession proof. Now, that's pretty tough because we rely on other people for our economy, and if they're feeling the pain, they're tightening their belt and they're not freely spending, which is trickling down to all the rest of the people. So it came to me in a couple of different ways recently. One of the things I think you would really like to have, and this is a different concept that you probably haven't even heard on other channels, I think it's a really good idea as one of those assets to be staking or mining cryptocurrencies. For the reasons I just brought up, it's generating cash flow. It's creating more dollars, tokens that can be exchanged to dollars. So when you look into that, that's a cash flow that's 24 hours a day that could keep you afloat if you lost your job. Okay. Now, it's hard sometimes for people to look at cryptos in that manner. But I think I'm going to ease your pain a little bit with this next couple of sentences. US dollar has been played like a yo-yo. You printed $7 trillion in the last 18 months. And people are looking at that now. You know, average people coming to me and asking me, what's going on with inflation? Well, what do you think that means when they print that much money? You know, to pay somebody to sit on their couch and watch Netflix. Well, we're seeing what that means. You know, 7.5% is what they're admitting to, which is, that's not a real good world for people to live in. You're constantly competing and prices are constantly going up. So, how is it going to change? Well, the perception of the US dollar is changing. People are seeing its weakness in its inflationary sense. But I think, well, it's a 10%, 20% chance of this happening. We could flip that and go from an inflationary world to a deflationary world quite quickly. And if that were to happen, I don't think it'll last very long, you know, a couple of months, maybe 6 months maximum. But that could really slow things down to a crawl, which would drop all the prices of virtually all your assets, even your gold, your crypto, everything else. The reason why I think it's slightly different this year, or this time around, is I think there's going to be fewer people who actually believe in the dollar, in particular globally. You're looking at China and Russia. And just, I don't know when you're watching this video, but just the other day, the Ukraine, which is a hot spot in the world, just out of the blue said, yeah, we believe in Bitcoin and we're going to trade in Bitcoin. Wow. I have my suspicions as to why they do that, because they're trying to get out of the SWIFT system, which is controlling everyone's central banking around the world. And I think they're trying to get out ahead of it so they can, shall I say, liquidate their wealth they've gained in their country. So that led me to believe, well, all of us are in that situation now, right? We all have this liquid asset. Think about how illiquid the rental real estate market is. If we go into a deflationary recession, yeah, sure, all those people can pay their rent today in an inflationary market, but in a deflationary market, they could even pass laws that would state, well, they're in hardship, they don't have to pay, which we've seen in recent years. That's not a great cash flow in that sense. So then people think, well, I'm going to get out ahead of this and start selling my real estate or my rental real estate. and get some cash on the side. Well, that creates a snowball, and the next thing you know, you get the picture. So getting out of the dollar, which I've said many times, in an inflationary world, I think the place to be could be the dollar. In a deflationary world, would you rather be in a peso or a dollar? You'd rather be in a dollar. It is the cleanest shirt in the hamper. However, we have new avenues now, and that's what this channel's about, right? We have avenues to go down. So I'm not going to name the coins, but there's many coins that are paying you, for you staking their coins, a daily income, monthly income. And those coins are a new twist on an old problem, which is, how do I stay out of the breadlines, and how do I earn an income every single day in either recession, either inflationary situation or deflationary times in life? I think that's an avenue that really needs to be pursued, because sure, the value of it could go down, but as people realize that they're playing this dollar yo-yo game of making it hard to get, easy to get, hard to get, that you can put your money in other assets that are as liquid as money, probably in some ways more liquid, okay, than the US dollar, that is actually paying you overnight. You got $10,000 worth of a token that you're staking, it's paying you to own those tokens. If you have $10,000 sitting under your mattress, even in a deflationary situation, true, it is gaining purchasing power. However, it's not paying you more dollars daily. In a manner, it sort of is. It's splitting hairs there. But I think it's always good to have assets. I know assets go down in a deflationary time. But one of the things is deflationary times don't last very long. They usually are very short-lived. And then we go into a massive inflationary time, because as we know about the Fed, they like 2%. I don't know why they like 2%. They love 2% inflation. I do know why, and I've explained it on this channel before. But so they're not going to want deflation. That's not what they want. That'll slow this thing down to a crawl globally. Okay, so they're going to try and get out of that as fast as humanly possible. So that's just a couple of the avenues that I've been talking about. So cash generating crypto. If you have really good real estate that does generate cash, obviously it's a good asset to keep. Anything that brings you a side job or a YouTube channel or anything that brings you a cash. Not that our channel's big enough to do any of that, but anything that you can do as side hustle is a good way to go. Also, you want to have things that are liquid in that event, okay? You want cash flow, you want liquidity, and one of the bigger things is you'd like to be out of debt. That's what's going to flip, right? In an inflationary day, it's really good to own debt, because it doesn't cost you anything to own the debt, right? In fact, in an inflating dollar, you're paying less in the future, more dollars, but less value in the future for that thing, because you've locked in a 30-year mortgage. And you're like, well, that payment doesn't seem like anything anymore. Well, it's peanuts. That's an easy payment, because inflation, everything goes up. Anyway, I covered most of the things I had written down on here. The staking of the coins is an interesting situation in a deflationary market. And I wanted to make this video short, so I'm going to try and keep it there. I hope you guys got something out of this. I'd like to hear what your ideas about. Now, this is a kind of a revolutionary idea in some ways about crypto, and how we should not just see, oh, well, as soon as they print this, or as soon as they stop printing money, and as soon as they raise interest rate, it's going to cripple the crypto market. that's kind of what this video was about. I hope you got that out of it. And anyway, we're here in gorgeous San Diego, and it's been a beautiful weekend. And I hope you guys can post some questions about this video. And I just touched on it. It's a huge video that I'm not going to make a long video out of today. Okay? So we'll talk more about this in the future. Post those questions. I will read them, I promise. And thank you so much for all our subscribers. We are blessed. And with that, guys, I'm out.